Hey everybody, welcome back to the Archangel 15. Today I wanted to do a sort of sporadic presentation on a combination of topics. I don't really like to do this too much, and I feel as though given my vast subject matter of over 200 presentations that I've earned the right to kind of essentially talk out of kilter. Um, Per my Teal 369 video, that video just very, very profound work in my opinion. I don't really know of too much other stuff that's out there like it. A few things that have kind of inspired me in a sense, but it's kind of like my own unique work, I guess you could say. And it's essentially, like I said, a schematic of human consciousness, and it gets into this notion of like free will. You know, we were taught in many circles, especially here in America, that we have God and we have Satan, and it's like almost to scare us or something like that, or control us. And like the truth is that we control ourselves and we manifest ourselves, or manifest our own lives, and like through our own consciousness and our own free will. That being said, people don't really have the freedoms they think they have or that they had in the past, I will say. uh, Kind of gets into the Akashic record, essentially, like stored supposedly on the etheric plane, a compendium of all past, present, and future events. It ties together in a bigger matrix, but like it basically boils down to like the I Ching and the yin and the yang, like positive and negative energy, the black and the white, string theory. I've done much work in this in the past. Not going to do that. My situation is pretty insane here. Lately, like I can tell you, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like in my world, in the world in the general, probably in the cosmos. Really, like it's very self-evident that the hand of God is upon us. I don't really like to get too much into the Bible. I have my whole spiel I've done about the Bible and Thanksgiving in the past for those who watch my channel. But if you think that God is just this wussified person that's always going to forgive you, and you can do whatever you want, and like it's okay, just repent and you'll be okay. Go to look up. I encourage you. I do my Eucharist Sunday. Today's first Sunday of the month here in Pennsylvania, and I just, like I said, I don't drink wine. I have a little thing that I do, and I like any of the Bible verses that have blood involved with them, or I've found to be like almost there's secret knowledge hidden in them. There's one here, Jeremiah 18. It talks about like I spilt the blood and like my sword devoured them or something like that. Really, really interesting. But it also talks about like this vengeful God, basically Jeremiah or something like that. They had these people that like were trying to like ensnare him, and like God cut them down to the ground and like killed them, their kids, and others. And not only that, but like never in the Bible have I ever seen it says they threw him out in the fields for the beast or for the fowl to devour them. Like they didn't even give him a proper burial. And like you have to ask yourself, like there's a lot of other things. And then there's one where it says God sent fiery serpents down and they devoured the Jews. And like I said, there's like, if you know your Bible, there's like 27 times that God sent brimstone and fire to condemn the Jewish people. And like I said, like you have to ask yourself, when the Messiah or second coming of Christ happens, will they acknowledge him? Absolutely not. Why? Because they'd have to admit they were wrong the first time. And then if they did that, then they have to admit maybe other people were right. Not going to get too much into that, or I'll be, they'll shut my channel down. Like I said, I dare them to do it again, to be honest with you. Last time something crazy happened, I don't think they had the cojones to do it. And like, I'm not even going to start talking about the same people that I did before. But like, the truth is, I'm attempting to leverage a lot of people, like with using natural forces and other things. And like, maybe I'll get somewhere, maybe I won't. I'm basically in a stalemate here. I'm not going to serve this country at any level anytime soon. I'll go live on the streets. Like when I finally get enough money to depart, I'm going to depart and either go to China, try to make it to Chinese mainland, or the Russian Federation, or Mongolia. Like that's my plan, and I'm pretty much sticking to it. I kind of like went into this whole thing, but like, okay, so essentially, like, this is what I wanted to get to here, the heart of this whole thing. Okay, so like, this is a little story. Like I talked about Teal 369 being like a framework and a schematic for human consciousness. Like we as humans have to decide, I talked about in my past theory, everything boils down to love and energy. And it's like, how do you spend your energy? Do you spend it for other people, for good people, for bad people, to make the world better, to make the world worse by drilling oil, other things as well, like creating wars, building houses that are pieces of crap that are going to need fixed in 10 years, other things that you could build better that would last, but you don't because you want to perpetuate greed and evil. Um, I'm gonna get into eventually my theory that like the stud spacing in houses is like off, and it's like basically to perpetuate capitalism. And like I could go into a whole series on like inefficiencies in like home building, and I have friends that could probably come on here as well. Um, anyhow, so I was down in Cape May on one of my beach camping trips, and I was like walking up to the store, and there's this fisherman's memorial at the Cape May Coast Guard Center. I won't go to the Coast Guard Center because I know they have clones there, and like I said, they're not my family. They never will be. These people belong in a special place, in my opinion. But anyway, so the fisherman's memorial, they sent like I was like I'm really cool into the whole perfect storm stuff and everything, but it's like those people knew that what they were the fish that they were catching was going to the rich people that were basically building a horrible system of lies and evil. And it's like, you'd like to think that the fishermen would be in heaven and that God would be the kind of person that would say, oh, send them to heaven if they believed in God and Jesus. But the truth is, they worked to serve evil. And it's like, that's how deep this whole thing is. And like, I try to think, okay, Michael the Archangel holds the book of life. How could you develop like a system to, like where God could actually determine where like people would go to heaven and hell? Like where it's like almost like on a quantitative basis, or like a algorithmic basis or something like that. And that's exactly how you would do it. Like past, present, and future, like all ties together. And like, this is really deep. You either understand this or you think I'm crazy. And like, I hope that you understand it. Like, I pray that you do. Cops, like, in my opinion, like they serve Satan. Like I see cops and military people, especially with their shaved heads, I see demons, especially white ones. And I'm white myself. Like I literally, anymore I see like anything to do with the military or police, I see demons. And like when a series of natural disasters start to occur, like all around the world, and they sort of seem to point in this direction, like it's very self-evident that God's trying to send a message. Very self-evident. Maybe Biden's too old to understand it. Maybe, you know, like Trump knows that he was a part of the reason why, and that's why he doesn't say anything. You know, maybe like it's very evident. Like there's a small little group of people, and they all tie back to like big oil, essentially. They need brought down to their knees and crumbled. And it's like act of God, act of war versus act of terror. Who really decides? I've personally shown countless signs, like too many, like amazingly cinematic, cool stuff. On a side note, this is my air show video. I really believe is in the top 3 to 5 of like the most impactful Russian films ever made. Like right up there with Nevsky. Like if you never saw the movie Nevsky, amazing movie. Really impactful scene where they're throwing these babies in the fire. First time the Russians beat the Germans. There's not going to be, like I said, like they're not going to get a third time. Or like a fourth time, whatever. It's like, imagine being me. We're living in a little area where you have about 7 different groups of people that think that they have ownership over you and your genetics. And have like every single person has a vested interest in you not having kids. And like, especially like even your own your people, certain people in your family. It's really creepy and it's really scary. Like I really need to get out, you know. On a further note, I'm going to push a Ukraine conspiracy. Like, I really believe that, like, what's going on in Ukraine, there's, like, evil agendas behind it. Like, I really believe that people from the UK, some evil German Americans, and, like, some other people, Swiss, and some Saudis and others, they want to basically, like, take credit for the Ukrainian-Russian bloodline. Like, the beautiful skin, the beautiful eyes, like, almost, like, take, like I said, just, like wipe, like, make Ukraine not exist. And, like, I almost believe a lot of the Russians are part of this, like, the Russian mafia. They've sold eggs and everything else, genetics. They have they've been deep into pedophilia, all kinds of horrible things. And, you know what I mean? Like, they're actually going through a purging, like all of Russia pretty much. And I've spoken with people there, and they want to build a system on honor, like the Chinese have. Chinese, the age of consent's 14. It's like, they're basically like alien gods, and like, we're basically going to do what they want to do in China, and can. And like, eventually they're going to say, we don't want you eating fish, and we're going to basically cut you off from the fishing grounds. Probably why the Alaskan fishing season was shut down for the crabs. But yeah, I believe that, like, okay, so they, like, when the invasion happened, all these, like, people, the woman and the kids, not the men, but the woman and the kids, the girl, like, the little girls is what they wanted. Like, pedophilia in Germany and Italy, and, you know, I'm not going to get into it, but that's what they wanted. And like, they took all those girls. The truth is, Russia had probably already, and probably rich people have already extracted the most beautiful genetics out of Ukraine quite some time ago. That being said, you'll have an 8 to 9 quality girl working in a fast food restaurant or like as a grocery store. Like you bring that girl to America, within 3 days she would realize she would never have to work a day in her life, and she could just find somebody to spread her legs for, essentially, and that would be her job. And like that's the problem. I think the difference between these countries and America, and it really destroys a lot of them. A lot of the Muslim countries actually don't let their women leave for this reason, because like once they realize that they can become a prostitute for cheaper, it like really starts to screw up a society, just like cloning and other things. But yes, please, if you never saw my Teal 369 video, watch it. So this kind of transitioned into like another presentation that I wanted to do. I'm gonna try to keep this short. I don't want to get too long, but I was out cutting firewood up the other day, and there was this like, huge, massive log, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. And sure as hell I did. I lifted it up, and like I still have my strength, and like I realized that like if I'm gonna take over the world, if I'm gonna pull a Genghis Khan, if I'm gonna join some army of God, I better do it now while I'm in my prime. Like I better get ready, like prepare. Like the time is now. Like every day, everybody's breathing in gamma radiated air, and just you're gonna see cancer rates quantify. And it's like you have two choices. One, you go rogue, like you go like nomad, like alone in the wilderness style, and like go back to almost like a Native American or the Aborigine or something like that. Or two, like I said, you join a bigger cause. Like here, I didn't spend the trillions of dollars to build these bunkers. I know right off the bat these people are going to want something from me, and it's going to be kids, and I won't give it to them. I want to go somewhere, to be honest with you, where I don't even see white people anymore. Like I feel like the whole cloning thing has me just like almost turned against my own people. Like I like, especially Ukrainian people in America. Like I like, honestly, it's sad. It's really sad what's happened to me. Like the whole thing should have went down in Ukraine, and Trump, like, I'm not even going to get into it. He needs to be brought to justice in more ways than one. Like some capital punishment stuff. I almost would bet it'll happen eventually. But I'm just going to leave it at that. Or like I said, it'll be too much of a threat or a bullying. It's like at this point, you get the point. But yeah, like there's been several revelations. And like I said, I was thinking about, okay, so like the Russia, I could go there, this and that. But there's like some really snaky stuff in Russia. Like they have a huge internal problems. Like all the rich kids there wanted to leave the country and this and that. And then you have like some true like patriotic Russians. And like you have other people that like have like deeper Soviet era roots, but the younger kids, they have no recollection or peripheral memory of the Soviet era, and it's like they got serious weird things going on. And like I made this Venn diagram. I'm not gonna go get it here, but like I started trying to put I had 8 different places I was thinking about going, and like I started doing it. And like I said, I made a Venn diagram crossed, and I basically made it based on like no honor, some honor, and honor. Like I put the Chinese in the honor, and like the Chinese have done things that are not honorable. I'm well aware, but I really believe that they did it basically because they're doing it to dance to the West game, and they knew that there was eventually going to be a nuclear holocaust, and that like they had to do things to basically compete. And like I said, like if you look at Shenyun and like ancient Chinese imperial stuff that I'm just infatuated with, it's absolutely the most beautiful culture that ever existed. Very close to the Persians, Muslim stuff, but you get the point. Absolutely just amazing. And this channel I do stuff on here is a joke. I should have countless views and have generated at least $1 or something from this. Nobody, like I believe people have tried to donate on my channel and can't, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion. Like I'm really wasting my time. I keep doing presentations, and like this is kind of like, I wanted to get some stuff out. If I were to go to Russia with all the work I've done in the past, in the present, I stand to have an amazing life there. I don't really wouldn't want to see going into Ukraine. I almost want to go to Ukraine and see what's really going on there. I have my suspicions because the truth is Kiev has always been controlled by the Russian mafia for many, many years. And truth is that there's an underground bunker system that goes from Chernobyl to Kiev. So I really believe the whole war was to get into the bunkers. Not even really, they care less about what happens in the radioactive air above ground. And it's like they let the Italians stock it with their wine. Other people stock it. Europe, the Germans, they think Ukraine's Germany, even though this bunker was built by the Soviets. It has probably Soviet emblems on the walls. So, like if I were to attempt to join the Russian military, they are taking conscripts. And another thing is the recruiting sites for the Russian military are blocked in America. Try to go on the Ministry of Defense site of Russia, it's blocked. You can't go on. Why? I guess I bet money on it. There's other people like me that see that the Russians are not the bad ones, and the West is the cancer of the earth. And this would be a huge problem for America, the military, if there was deserters going over there. CIA couldn't have that. We need good, clean-cut boys in here, in our military. Texas boys. Send them over. Send your Texas boys over. Like I said, there's like 7 people that think that they own me. From like the Bush cartel, Barbie Bush, from like other global elite, Illuminati thugs, to like the state of Pennsylvania, to like, who knows? Like whatever. Quakers, basically. Like, okay, so like May Day, like I said, in Russia is a really big deal. Like I went there, and like you have to be military to get into actual Red Square. You can see the parade and see enough and hear it and everything, but like you have to be like, it's a big, big, big deal. Like, to be honest with you, I've already probably earned several medals from the Russians. Like, actually, like, they probably have like a one special one for like people who did like spy work in the United States or something like that. It'd be really cool. But like they're not gonna, the Russians want to see that my like they don't want me to have a baby here that's gonna be stolen. That's what they'll do. They've done it to my family and other people, and like, they don't want that. They want me to be somewhere safe. Like, I got to break the chains. Like, it'd be kind of cool bringing you presentations from either Russia or China or Mongolia or wherever. But, like, a lot of the Soviet era men are starting to get older now. They're starting to like get to like people who built these bunkers and like knew that nuclear warfare was coming. People who had amazing technology for, the defense systems. And like, they know that the time is now. The time is here. Like, the next generation doesn't have it what the older guys had. Putin, like I said, like Putin, I believe, used to mess around with Ivanka Trump. He has several kids in Russia with Barbie Bush's eggs. Like, I can tell you this for fact. And like, go to Catherine Palace in Russia, and they have a picture of like all these presidents in Russia, and you would know, like the Clintons, Bushes, and like you'd think that Bush and Putin were like two fart buddies or something like that. Like, it's a joke. Like I don't say things to be like I guess canonical in sense like that they're like guaranteed. Like I came to the conclusion the other day. Anybody in Russia that has money is from big oil. Like, plain, like, fact, not even arguable. Like, there's a couple that had like grocery store chains, but like 89% of the Russian like oligarchs, they come from oil. And like, maybe the ones that didn't came from war, and like they do have some pretty badass stuff, but it gets old fighting. Like, I'm tired of fighting the oil industry. Like, I want to go to China, where like at least they have some honorable stuff that they've done, and like, yeah, they have big oil there too. But like, someday somebody's gonna bring out free energy and flying cars, and they're gonna like basically take over the world, and it's not gonna be the Germans. I promise you. Like, I really believe that the Germans are almost like slaves. That like when you get into linguistics and you like the German language versus like Asian languages and others, it's so much more, like hundreds of thousands of years more advanced, that like basically like the really thick German voice is like basically to like stimulate certain areas of the brain that like essentially would be like conducive to like engineering or like thought process or like creative abilities. And like that's how deep this is. Like, eventually people are going to go underground and like come out and start renaming people last names, and the people who have the prominent people will have names named after birds of prey. Like, if like that's how you can basically, like, it's not really a joke. It gets into like a deeper element here. Like, I've studied linguistics on my own and like came up with a lot of interesting stuff that I really, truly, humbly in all my heart believe. And I actually have a German last name, Vogel. It means bird. So I talked about my conspiracy theory in Ukraine. I don't really know, like, my alchemy tells me some weird stuff's going on there. Like, in a good situation, the Ukrainian girls will join the Russian men, and the Russian men will join the Ukrainian girls. Like, that's the only way to really fix that situation. It's honored, I can tell you too. So like, I went to the reason I say all this is I went to St. Michael's Cathedral in Ukraine. I have a little picture I could show you, but I'm not going to go get it. And there's a wall around the perimeter, And on the wall is the most beautiful white, blonde hair, blue eyed, clean skinned boys you would ever see in your entire life. Look, it's like all of them look like me, like my brothers, and like they were sent to be cannon fodder against the Russians. And they're and it's like you go down the streets of Kiev and you got some punk ass kids that like want to act like they're in Washington D.C. or like somewhere else, or like they work for NASA or something. And like, you know, like it's an acceptable idea to start war for profit. And like that's what they do. They like wanted to copy off the United States. And like, remember, this war has been going on for many years. Like they say we're on day 200 and something. We're like many years in now. I almost believe the Russians are waiting for me to join the fight. And they're like, we're going to take over like Genghis Khan, and like it's going to be like a conquest. A lot of these areas probably already have nuclear radiated wastelands. If somebody else doesn't come and put a stake and claim, or if we don't, somebody else will. And as I said, like the show is ours. Like I've seen it on many fronts. I've seen the signs in the heavens. I've shown them. Like I said, like this God does not shine on this country. There's a small group of people that are just screwing it up for everybody. They're so basically big oil silver spoons that like don't want to have to answer to God and his angels. But it's like very important for me to uphold honor and like certain set of fundamental values and principles. Like at this point in my life, like I've been through a lot of crazy nonsense, and like I talked about my near-death experiences, and I'm basically living on borrowed time. The other day I was writing this, and like these halos of light were shining on me, kind of like they used to do in Alexandria, Virginia, but like it was almost like an aura of light, like almost like I'm gonna be able to like spark people down or arc people up or something. But really like it was like almost like I was being under a magnifying glass. It almost like started to burn me. It was really wild. Anyhow, folks, God bless you and take care. I'm gonna end on just something really sporadic. It's interesting when you look at this Sherwin-Williams. I used to paint for many years. Sherwin-Williams painting emblem, like has this cover the earth in red. I really believe that like, okay, the earth is going to be turned to where like we're at the sun, and the China and Asia is going to be on this side, and that there's going to be some type of like a like massive solar flare, and it's going to take out the United like this quadrant of the earth. That's my theory. I've talked about faster than speed of light theory and how asteroids manifest out of thin air. NASA will never see them coming. Take care, folks. God bless. Sorry to talk so long. I hope you enjoy my food recipes. I'm going to do a chicken and waffles, chicken Kiev someday, and I have a special guest that I want to invite to do her sausage gravy and biscuits, if I can find this person. Take care, folks.